Welcome back to the Cold War, Papa Bear.
Yo.
Episode 294
Yes.
of the Cold War. 294 hours we have been talking about the Cold War. I'm not sure the Cold War lasted that long.
All I know is that
it was over.
those
a lot less than that.
Those 7 people, those 7 subscribers, they're lucky. They're lucky. They get to go through 294 hours and counting of the Cold War history.
Yeah.
Lucky bastards. Anyway.
In our last episode.
Yes.
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, our good friend Batista.
Right.
Did a little coup. Things were looking quiet for the week. He's bored.
Right.
I don't know about you, but if I get bored, first thing, pants come off. Second, we'll do a coup.
Pants.
And
Got it.
In New York City, Meyer Lansky.
Yes.
The Jewish mobster.
Allegedly. Thank you.
Can I say that? Or is that anti-Semitic? If I say he's a Jewish mobster?
Is
that anti-Semitic?
No, let's just say, I mean, it is, but let's just say no, because we're going to talk about him anyway. So but don't worry about it. Don't worry. He was the mob's accountant. Is that a sign of respect? What is that? But the man worked hard, illegally, but the man worked hard.
Yes. Meyer Lansky thought things were looking up. So he headed to the Hotel Nacional in Havana. And in 1953, this is going on. Well, I think the coup happened in 52, but in 1953, Cuba celebrated the 100th anniversary of the birth of Martí, who they referred to as the Apostle.
Yes.
The Cuban apostles. There's the apostles, as you know, as a good former Catholic boy,
right,
were John, Paul, George, Ringo.
The
Keith,
yes,
Mick,
right, Donatello,
Charlie,
Raphael, and Martí.
Right.
So I think we've rounded them out. Yeah.
It was going to be a full year's commemoration with a projected price tag of $10 million. How did they pay? How did they come up with this $10 million, Ray?
Well, if it's the government, I imagine they just take from the people. But I don't know. How does and I don't want to go too far with this, an impoverished country come up with that kind of money for a year-long party? Clearly, it's nothing beyond the law, right? Tell me.
Well, it was, it was a law. There was a congressional act passed in 1945, a good 8 years before this, that stipulated that workers would contribute
Thank you.
1 day's salary every year towards the cost of the year-long celebration of Jose Marti. I'm not sure how you commemorate something for a year. Do they just get a year off work?
I'm pretty sure not.
I would contribute
a
day salary for 8 years if I got a year off of work. I'd be down for that.
That'd be a good return on your. No. So for one.
Although when I say work,
you have to do this.
This is it right now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the people are already oppressed, underpaid, abused. They have very little rights, and now Batista's there. But sure, let's celebrate the guy who tried to bring freedom to Cuba. There is no irony in that at all.
Yeah, in the middle of a coup.
Right. Right.
There was a statue of Martí that was going to be built on a hill in central Savannah. There was another statue that another artist was building in a different part of the island that wasn't part of the official celebrations. But meanwhile, while all this is going on, one person who's not celebrating, well, he's celebrating in his own way, I guess, is our friend Fidel Castro.
He's got plans.
Who is planning his first revolutionary act, the attack on the Moncada Barracks. How old is Mr. Castro at this point, Ray?
20, I don't know, early 20s. I honestly don't know.
Born in 1926, so this is early in 53, so he'd be 26, going on 27.
All right, cool.
Staging his first attempt at the revolutionary overthrow of the government of his island at 26.
Yes. I mean, he's down there with Napoleon, Alexander the Great, other people who have done amazing things at young ages. But let's remind the audience, he tried to help people. He supported certain politicians. He even ran himself, and he has learned painfully in his very short life that at the end of the day, power gets shit done. Hopes, dreams, prayers, political, whatever, meetings, pamphlets, doesn't do anything, especially when the law can be changed. And I don't mean any disrespect to Cuba, but when the laws can be, are written in pencil, they can be changed at any time, especially if you've got a gun. So he's like, no, I've tried everything, and this is the one thing that's left. And so, and as we're going to see, and we don't have to go into this now, but he's brilliant. He's like, I literally don't know who I can trust. So I'm going to trust practically nobody. I'm going to keep everything in my hands. I'm going to do all this stuff myself. But I think he's at the end of his rope as far as his options. And this is the last trick in the box, and he's planning for it. And he's going to have some troubles, but he is definitely taking this very seriously.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that anyone at that age has the balls to
I'm going to overthrow,
try and pull something like this off.
I'm going to overthrow a dictator.
You make.
Sorry, go ahead.
You make the point, which is good. We've covered this before, but it's worth reiterating over and over again. He ran for election, but Batista threw a coup and canceled the election.
He undercouped him.
Then he tried. Then he tried to sue the Batista government for breach of the Constitution for running a coup. That got thrown out by the courts.
Yeah.
So you've tried several legitimate ways to overthrow a corrupt government, and when it's obvious that they aren't going to work, armed revolution was the last resort. The plan was to capture all of the weapons in the Moncada Barracks for a larger revolution against the regime. So he's got a small band of people he's put together. They've got
Little John,
whatever weapons they could get their hands on, which were mostly hunting weapons, but they wanted more weapons, and the fastest way to get 3,000 guns was to attack a barracks and take all of the weapons there. Now, the Moncada fortress was just a short drive from Santiago, the city. This is down on the southern coast of Cuba. So for reference, for people playing at home, I'm sure all Americans, because if there's one thing I know about Americans in particular, they know their geography.
Yeah.
But Havana, as you may know, sits just below Florida. And if you think of Cuba just like an upside down letter V, it's actually it's more like an inverted Nike logo. So if you got the tick of the Nike logo,
I like that.
If you flip it upside down,
boom,
that's what Cuba looks like, because the left hand of the inverted V is about a third of the length of the right hand side of the inverted V.
Right.
So if you took the Nike logo and you flipped it upside down, that's Cuba. Havana is at the top of the point, which is pointing towards Florida,
northwest,
which is a big penis. Points to the penis that's coming out of the bottom of the United States. Santiago is down the other end of the V.
Yes,
like right down the
Southeast.
bottom of the long bit.
Exactly.
It's close to Haiti, Jamaica, and the Dominican Republic. So that's what it looks like. And at the time, in the 1950s, Moncada was the second largest barracks in the country. This is what he's going to try and overthrow with a handful of guys and a smile.
With a heart of gold and a smile. Exactly. I mean, and we don't have to go into this, but he's been planning this for a year. He's got his like merry band of the few people that he trusts. We can go into that or not, whatever. But money's always been a problem.
He keeps saying, we don't have to go into this. We can go into this or not. We don't have to go into this now.
The reason I
stop with the disclaimers. If you're not going to go into it, don't say you're not going to go into it. Just don't go into it.
Okay. Well,
like, you know what? It's fairly simple. Either go into it or don't go into it.
I'm about to go into it.
Stop saying I'm not going to go into it, but then half go into it.
Okay. I'm going to go all the way up your ass. Okay. So let's go ahead and have this fight in front of the kids. No problem. Where you're starting at is page 5 of my notes. Okay. Because I went a little deep because I found this interesting because I don't know anything about it. But the point is, between the people that he can trust, which is very few. He starts this movement. He starts planning. He has
page 5 of your notes.
He has.
Everyone knows you've got half a page of notes. Stop pretending that you've got more notes than half a page.
You know, normally
you've got written down literally
right?
Cuba, Fidel Castro. That's pretty much.
I have Cuba.
What you've got on your
turn
notes.
upside down Nike. That's pretty much all I have. No, but no.
You didn't have that.
No, I didn't.
No,
have
you
that.
didn't have that.
I
had
stole
that. No,
that.
you didn't even have
I
that.
stole that. Come on, I steal from you all the time. This is nothing new here. No, but I want to give this guy credit for a second because again, he's desperate. He's run out of all of his other options. So he's got this movement that he started, which actually came about by a conversation he was having with some people. And they're like, yeah, we can talk all we want, but unless we do something, this is just talk. This is not going to do anything. So he has this party, he has this movement. And in the movement, there are two planks. There are two tracks of it. One's civilian. They're going to agitate. The other one's military. And they're literally going to gather weapons. And he's been working on this for a year. And money for a lot of different reasons, mostly because he doesn't trust anybody. Money's a problem. So you're right. It's mostly hunting weapons. He needs more weapons. They buy a few uniforms off of the black market because having at least a few uniforms is going to help them get on the base. That's part of the plan that you were talking about. So again, he's been planning this out. And this is the last thing I'll say from my 5 pages of notes.
No. I'm just going to sit here while you go through your 5 pages of notes, and we'll see how long it takes.
Okay.
We're 11 minutes in. Go.
I don't know why you're so confrontational. That's not like you, Cam. Anyways, so
It's called a bullshit on this 5 page of notes bullshit.
what if I could reverse?
Everyone's sitting at home.
Yeah.
Everyone's sitting at home going, yeah, fuck off.
No.
Just...
I get it. I get what you're saying. And most of the time I would agree with you. And I'm sure all 7 subscribers are agreeing with you. Yeah, no, that's right.
3 of those have just canceled because we're arguing.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting. Yeah, no, I'll just make this last point because I found this interesting and I wanted to get your opinion.
No, keep going.
So anyways, he mostly picks the poor because they're desperate and they don't have anything to lose. But at the same time, in a way, it's not that he's anti-intellectual. He purposefully doesn't have too many people who have college degrees, either immediately around him or part of his 1,200 people that he's going to raise within the year's time. And what it is he doesn't want, and this is not a criticism of him. He doesn't want a lot of people questioning him. He doesn't want a lot of people second guessing him. He doesn't want a lot of people going, oh, well, what if we do this or do this? He's like, no, here's your orders. Fucking carry it out. Do it. Because basically he's got everything in his head. I don't know how much he wrote down, but he's got everything in his head. He's on both committees. He's on the civilian. He's on the military. He's controlling everything. And I think this is a smart play for him because he literally doesn't know who he can trust, who's turning over people to the government, or is the government bribing people? Are they threatening people? So this is the only way I think that this coup could have ever been launched because it was a year in the planning. It was a year in the making. They rent a farm, they get some guns, they practice. But the fact that he didn't trust anybody, he stayed away from the communists because he didn't want to piss off his own moderates. He planned this out, but because he kept it close to his vest, I think that was the only way that this could be at least successfully launched, if not successfully finished. And I think he was just going, look, I can't trust anybody. I'm on my own, and I'm going to do this myself. And I just thought that was neat.
Keep going with your 5 pages.
Okay, let's see here. Let me, if you want.
But before you do that, I'm going to ask you a question.
Please.
What makes you think that he had illiterate, uneducated people as part of his group?
Because he went to the poorest sections, and a lot of them were street vendors, drivers, shop assistants, waiters, mechanics, and of course, and there were way too many of these, the unemployed. So because he went to Havana's poorest districts. Don't get me wrong, the people that were the immediate circle.
Who told you that?
Who?
Where did you read that?
I read it in a book. What are you, anti-book?
Because
Right.
I read
Right.
that most of the 1,200 men that he put together
Right.
came from the youth wing of the Ortodoxo party, Eduardo Chibasa's party
Right.
that he was part of. So, and a lot of those were involved in universities.
Right.
They were university students.
Well,
So
yeah.
some of those may have come from the poorer part of town.
But-
And I mean, there is a natural inclination for the working classes to want to revolt against the corrupt regimes that are, probably supported mostly by the upper classes.
Right.
And, Batista probably supported mostly by the elite and the upper classes and the Americans. So, yeah, it would make sense to go to the working classes for a people's revolution. But most of these people who were part of his original organization were from the Ortodoxo party, as far as I know.
They're like idealists because they're students and they know just enough to know that things aren't right here. I do want to share one thing with you. Out of the various people that are in his inner circle, there was a 41-year-old doctor, Dr. Mario Munoz, I think is how you say it, Munoz. And he was a 41-year-old doctor, but he was also a ham radio enthusiast. And Castro's going to need those skills because this guy's going to set up the radio broadcasts. Now, ham radio, I barely know anything about it except for I have a friend who I play pool with on Friday nights. His wife is a ham radio enthusiast. And I use those words not lightly because she's insane for it. I don't know if you know anybody, but this is literally its own world. They're extremists in their own way. It's hilarious. They have contests, they have competitions, they get together regularly. They practice climbing poles so they can put their wires up on trees or anything high. It is this insane world that I did not know existed until like 3 months ago. And so I asked her about it, and she was like, yeah, there are people all over this country, and I imagine to a degree all over the world, who are into this thing, and they just talk to each other on the radio. Forget the fact that they could pick up a cell phone and call each other. This is just something that I don't think is going to die out for a while because of people like this. But this guy, this was his hobby, and Castro needed this to launch his radio broadcasts. And some of his printing presses are going to be smashed. Some of his radio broadcasts are going to be interrupted by the government, but he is literally doing everything he can to agitate the government, while at the same time he's preparing to take on the government in a military way.
You have a friend that you play pool with on Friday nights?
Yep. Jim.
What's his name?
Jim and Pete. It's Jim's pool hall. He's got it in his man cave. We play pool. And Jim's wife is the radio enthusiast. And
where did you meet Jim?
He only lives a minute away. We drink whiskey, smoke cigars, we play pool, we talk shit because it's just three guys, slightly older guys. And we have a blast. We talk about our wives. And then we deny everything and we go home. Yeah.
I never said you could have friendships outside of this. What?
That's why I didn't tell you. I wasn't sure how you would receive it, and I think I was right to keep it from you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I want Jim on the show. I want to meet Jim. I don't believe this story at all. The idea of you hanging out with two dudes, drinking whiskey, smoking cigars, and playing pool.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm not buying it. Not buying it.
I'll do what I can. I'll see what I can do. I can at the very least, I'll send you pictures. Of the pool hall.
See, Cam doesn't believe you exist. He doesn't have friends outside of the podcast. Why should you?
Yeah. Well, they invited me. I didn't go seeking it out.
They invited you.
Yeah. Well, there's not a lot of people here in the Cove.
See, now it's becoming less and less believable.
Well, see, no, it's the Cove. I mean, there's like 7 houses here. If they don't invite me, I mean, statistically speaking.
By the way, how's it a cove if you're like in the middle of Virginia? Isn't a cove like
there's
something on the edge on a coast?
No. We
sailed the boat into the cove.
There's a mountain there. There's a mountain behind me, and it comes into a U this way, and so they call it Fortune's Cove. I don't know. It was named that before I got here. Don't ask me. I just live here. Anyway, we should probably get on with the show by now.
All right, get on with your 5 pages of notes that you've got before where I'm up to.
Okay. In September of 1952, Castro meets a Pedro. I don't know if it's Moret. I'm just going to say Moret is an engineering student, but he's also an expert in arms, and he starts teaching these volunteers how to handle weapons. And I might stop with this because I don't want to get ahead of you. It's November of 52. Castro's personal life is about to change. He's at the annual celebration to commemorate the death of 8 students who were executed by Spanish colonial officials. And he meets a Nati Revuelta, a beautiful society girl. Yes, she's married. Yes, they have a child, but she's got way too much time on her hands. She's bored. She attends a lot of these political rallies. She donates money. She is beautiful. She is vivacious. She is fun. Castro takes one look at her, puts on the charm, and I don't know when officially, but at some point they become an item. Meanwhile, Mirta, his wife, is at home with the child, struggling, doing the best she can, but because her brother is the undersecretary of the interior in Batista's government, she's kind of got a foot in both camps. But for whatever reason, the passion and love between Castro and his wife, Mirta, seems to have faded, and he is now looking elsewhere for love and affection.
Like you with your pool buddies, apparently.
I knew I shouldn't have said it. You know you're still the one.
By the way,
go ahead.
According to the Cambridge Dictionary, a cove is a curved part of a coast that partly surrounds an area of water.
Okay, let me help you with this one. This place where I live is called Fortune's Cove, and the road that I live on is called Fortune's Cove Lane. The people that named it got their education in Nelson County. Okay? No. Is there any water around here? No, of course. I mean, there's a lake, but it's very tiny. It's a pond. But the point is, the name stuck. What am I supposed to do? We're supposed to go up to the next town meeting and go, excuse me, but we need to rename this because it's not a fucking cove because there's no water. Get your shit straight, Nelson. You know, what am I supposed to do? I just
tell him, don't make me come over there and teach him fucking English language.
No, because if you do that, I'll have to change all of my stuff because it's my address. Anyway, it's complicated. Go ahead.
So that's it? Your 5 pages of notes that you had? You just
skipping
Castro's sleeping with some chick.
Wow. Wow. For him, it was more than that. You jerk. Anyway. There's more.
Moncada Barracks.
Yes.
Originally designed to house the rural guard during the American occupation after 1898,
right,
had become a symbol of government repression in Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a number of reasons why he wants to attack this, but the main one was the weapons, as I said before. The other is it's the symbol of repression, and the other is because of the anniversary of Martí. It's fitting to do this in the name of Jose Martí. The date, the importance of the date we'll get to in a second. But as I said before, he trained more than 1,200 men to be part of his revolution. Now, they're not all going to attack the Moncada Barracks. Only about a tenth of those are going to be involved in the actual attack. But the rest are supposed to get the weapons when he gets the weapons from the barracks.
Step one,
now,
get the weapons. Sorry.
You would think you would have as many people attack the barracks as possible, but...
You would think. Yeah.
I think maybe arming them and getting them there might have been a bit of a problem. It's
logistics.
It's a bit easier to get in a small group to overthrow a barracks, and he thought the small group would be enough.
Right.
Castro drafted a manifesto that outlined a program for what the new revolutionary government was going to do, invoking the name of Jose Martí. They hired a small farm outside of San Diego, which is where they met, stored their weapons, trained, but he didn't tell them what the first objective was going to be. As you said, he kept it very close to his chest. He didn't want anything leaking out, didn't know.
Yeah.
The government's got spies everywhere. You can't trust anyone. So it's just him and a very small group, core group that he trusted,
right,
including his brother Raul,
who was a communist.
Which
was interesting.
Of what?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, plus he saw Fight Club, and you don't talk about it. He knew what he was doing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There were some local peasants who were in on the plan that he was building a revolutionary army that gave the impression that they were constructing buildings there to hold battery chickens. When anyone asked, why are all these people coming in and out? Oh, we're building a chicken farm.
Right.
Then it was July of 1953, the 26th of July, that the attack was scheduled for.
Yes.
about 120 of Castro's men dressed in sergeants' uniforms that they had handmade, sent off towards the Moncada Barracks in a series of cars and maybe a bus or two.
Right.
The reason they dressed up in sergeants' uniforms, Ray, explain that to the kids at home from your many, many, many pages of notes that you have.
Right. I don't know. Maybe that was the only one that they could sew, but I will say this real quick. One of the reasons they were picking July 26th to do the attack was the day before, July 25th, was the Festival of St. James, or Santiago. I think Castro was hoping that a lot of the officers would be out of the base or fort or whatever, the barracks, whatever the proper term is, out in the closest town partying or maybe hungover. So again, not unlike Pearl Harbor and other attacks, they were hoping to hit them at a relatively weak time. But why they were sergeants, is that just kind of a nondescript people would notice? I don't know why. Please tell me from your notes that you have there.
I never realized that Santiago meant St. James.
Neither did I.
So
Yeah.
Diego Iago from Othello. Iago, James, yeah, Spanish version of James.
We're loving and learning. It's great.
Wow. The reason they dressed up as sergeants was to mimic Batista's original sergeants' revolt.
I love that. Stick it to the man. Love it.
Well, Castro's strategy was they would take the barracks, then they would tell everyone it was a sergeants' revolt. And he thought that would throw confusion out there. Oh, sergeant's revolts. Well, that's just, we had one of those. that we better take it seriously.
Right.
Just to throw disarray into the ranks. Because he figured that for a few hours, the rank and file of the army would go, oh, maybe this is legit, like the Batista one, and we should let them get away with it. And by the time they worked out that it was Castro, it would all be too late.
Yeah. There were 4 main gates to the entrances. Castro chose gate number 3. And like you said, he was going to have one car go in, trick their way, subdue the guards at the gate. And some men would go to the Palace of Justice within there. Some would go to the barracks radio transmitter. Some of them would take weapons. So they had assigned responsibilities, but the first car had to go in. And there were some that were thinking that Castro would not go in himself, that he would not lead this because 1, it's obviously dangerous. And 2, maybe he would stay outside and have some troops with him. He could come in as a rescue or cavalry if something went bad. But he's like, no, this is mine. I have to lead this. And so fuck me. He is a man of his word. He talks the talk, and now he's going to walk the walk. But again, the first car has got to get in.
While they were doing this, another 40 guys on top of the 120 went to take the barracks at Bayamo, which is about 120 kilometers or 75 miles northwest by road from Santiago. Driving today would take 2.5 hours, depending on traffic conditions. But in the 1950s, it would have been a longer and rougher trip by car or truck. So they have headed off. Now, the reason they have to take Bayamo is because it controls the bridge over the Coto River, which is on the central highway leading from the north of the island down to Santiago. So it's basically to stop reinforcements coming in to get rid of them.
Right.
So before they head off to Moncada, when the men and 2 women... There were 2 women as part of this, including Haiti Santa Maria. Her brother and fiance were also part of the attack, and she wrote a memoir, quite a short memoir,
right,
many years later that I read, which is good from her perspective. But they gathered at the farm, and then everyone was told what the plan was. About 10 or so troops decided this is fucking crazy. We're going to do what now? Yeah.
I thought we were going to just protest in the streets or nope, I'm out. Yeah. So thank you.
So they said it was madness and they refused to go, and Castro let them go.
Right.
Just asked that they leave last after they head off. So as
exactly.
Yeah.
And
they wouldn't
Yeah.
have any chance of giving anything away.
Right. And he said to his men, look, don't kill unless you have to. We're here to snatch weapons. And don't get me wrong, after we have the weapons, we're going to cause some shit. But right here, this is a raid. This is a in, out, not unlike Ray's lovemaking, just, and so don't be extreme if you don't have to. As we're going to see, the army did not feel the same way, but we'll get to that. But yeah, so he's got these 2 raids planned up. He's got his people at the farm. And I don't want to jump ahead, but then he gives his last, after those 10 guys say, fuck this, he gives his last pep speech. And I wasn't sure if he wanted to read that out.
No, but I was going to say, when these dozen or so guys decided they didn't want to play part of it, like Heather, before you were married, Fidel allowed them to pull out.
Right. And I will always be her biggest fan for that. Of course, she made me. I got questions. Anyway, we'll talk about that off air. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. So he's got a plan, and it's like what, 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. at the farmhouse. They are ready to move out.
The attack was planned for 5:15 a.m. when the barracks would be mostly asleep and in their underwear. It was to hit them before they could get their hands on their weapons.
Right.
One group, you said they were going to split into 3 groups at Moncada. One would take the civilian hospital that was at the rear of the barracks. The other was to take the Audiencia building, the Palacio de Justicia. Raul, his younger brother, was part of that group.
Right.
And Fidel, with the 3rd group, which was about 90 men, was to take the guard post and the general staff officers with about 8 or 9 men, while the rest took the barracks.
Yeah. Good plan.
So they traveled in about 16 cars, 8 men in each. Fidel was in the 2nd car. Now, the 1st car,
strike one,
was carrying the men who were going to be on the roof of the hospital.
Right.
So they were to get in, drive in, get to the rear of the compound. But they also had the job of taking the entrance. So when you got to the barracks, there were obviously guards at the entrance. There was a chain across the entrance that they had to get lowered so the rest of the cars could get through.
Yeah.
Fidel is in the 2nd car that's about 80 yards behind them.
Right.
The 1st car was going to overpower the sentinels, take down the chains, let everyone else drive through. Then they were going to drive through to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So the 1st car stops. The men jump out to neutralize the guards, take their weapons. But at that point, the plan immediately goes awry. Fidel sees about 20 yards in front of his car a foot patrol of 2 soldiers with machine guns walking down the pavement, who saw what was happening at the guard post, realized something wasn't right, and they were in a position to fire on Fidel's men. So his instinct was to neutralize that patrol. So he drove up closer to them, holding a shotgun in his right hand and a pistol in his left hand.
Hell yeah.
With his door half open. But later on in his memoirs, written later in life, in his 70s, he said he fucked up.
Yeah.
On thinking it through later on, he shouldn't have done this. What he should have done, he said, was just ignored them and kept going.
Mm-hmm.
Theory being that if they'd seen 16 cars drive into the barracks, they probably would think, oh, some shit's going down.
Right.
We better wait to see what's happening. And they probably wouldn't have fired on his men.
Yeah, I'll stay here.
They would have just, they would have just gone, oh, what's happening? Maybe we should just, if it's 1 car, you go, oh, we're being held up or something. If it's 16 cars with guys dressed in sergeant's uniforms.
I'm going to guard here. I'm going to guard this spot that I'm at and wait.
Or he said if he'd even jumped out and said, drop your weapons.
Yeah.
And he looks like a sergeant.
Then, hey.
There's going to be confusion at the time and it's all going to go down. But
that's not.
He said later, inexperienced in combat as he was at 26.
Yeah.
A month before his 27th birthday, he tried to capture them by surprise instead. When he was about 6 feet away, they heard the car coming. They swung around, pointed their weapons at his car. He drove his car into them, then jumped out. His men jumped out as well. Then the people in the cars behind him, instead of following the plan and going into the barracks and going into the positions, they stopped and jumped out as well. They thought, well, this is the plan now. Let's all get out of the cars.
Right. Yeah. Well, because
and it sort of went awry.
Well, the first car, like you were saying, the first car did their job. They were able to go in, subdue the guys at the entrance. They lowered the chain. And so you're right. All Castro theoretically had to do was gun it, get all 16 cars inside with the chain, with the big chain being down, and make shit happen. It's those two guards of the mobile unit. He overthought it. And being age 26, he
didn't stick to the plan.
well, he
He changed the plan.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't
change the plan.
Yeah. So, and he didn't, but he wasn't sure because, like you said, he's untrained when it comes to military matters, and it all starts to go pear-shaped. Eventually there's an alarm that is sound. Soldiers are coming to windows in various buildings in their guns. They're shooting at Castro's men. Castro's men are shooting at them.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You're getting way ahead. But what Fidel said happened was when all of his men jumped out of their cars, one of them accidentally fired his weapon getting out. And then when his men heard that, they started firing. Alarms started to go off. The men so they were supposed to take the barracks, as I said, when everyone was asleep.
Yeah,
in their underwear,
5:15.
didn't have their weapons ready.
Yeah.
But as soon as somebody sets off the alarm, firing starts, the alarm goes off, and then it's
over.
crazy time.
Exactly.
Yeah. The combat that was supposed to happen inside of the barracks in an enclosed space, all of a sudden is happening outside. Now, keep in mind, there's like over 1,000 troops in this barracks.
Right. You need stealth. Yeah.
He has 120 men.
Yeah.
So, with hunting weapons, not machine guns. The idea is to take this barracks by surprise. A small force being able to capture a much, much larger force.
Right. It's been done.
But as soon as the fighting's happening outside, it all goes wrong. Some of his men ran into the wrong building.
Sure.
They tried to take the wrong building. He had to run in, take them out.
You're embarrassing
Managed to get them back.
Right.
Managed to get them back into the cars. They headed inside the actual barracks complex. Headed towards the weapons depository, but when they got there, they found the army band was sleeping there, and the weapons had been moved to the main barracks.
For fuck's sake!
So their information wasn't great. So by the time they got to the main barracks, the soldiers were already getting dressed, running around, grabbing their weapons, and the advantage of surprise had been lost.
Yeah. I think I read, and you touched on, I think I read that Castro was hoping, thinking, praying that there would actually be fewer people there, especially the officers, because of the celebration of St. James. There were actually more people there, like you were saying, because I think they were moving troops around or transferring or the band or whatever. So there were actually more soldiers than there would normally be. And so it's just all falling apart very quickly. And the alarm starts going off. People are grabbing guns. Castro and them are not only untrained, but they are outnumbered. And the element of surprise is more than gone.
There was a car, one of Castro's cars. He got back in his car after he got the men out of the wrong building. A car from his group flew past him into the barracks complex, then thought, oh shit, we went ahead of Fidel.
Don't do that.
Reversed back up quickly and ran into his car, smashed into the front of his car.
It's like the Three Stooges were helping with it. Sorry, go.
Yeah. Somebody had panicked. So Fidel got out of his car again.
Which wouldn't work anymore.
And, things are going just from bad to worse.
Right.
He said later, he didn't know how long had passed. He said it might have been half an hour, it might have been much less than that. He didn't know. Sure. But eventually, he had a plan, a bit like Julius Caesar. Right. He had a retreat plan if things went badly. And he started telling everyone he could reach that they had to pull out. They had to retreat. Yeah. This wasn't going to work.
Pull away. Yeah. Out. Just get out. Get out as fast as you possibly can. Yeah. So, but not now. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
But the group that had taken the hospital,
right?
He couldn't get in contact with them. They were already there.
Yeah.
So the ones that he could talk to, the ones that were supposed to be taking the main barracks, he said pull out. Raul's group had taken the Palace of Justice. The other group had taken the hospital.
Yeah.
But his group that was supposed to take the barracks where the guns were had failed. So he said, let's get out of here.
Right.
All of the cars left. He was in the last car, which was full. As they were leaving, he saw one of his guys running towards them,
Yeah.
about to be left or abandoned. Castro said, stop the car. He got out, let that guy get in, and said, just leave me here. You go. I'll be fine.
Right.
Later on in his memoirs, he said, and I stood there in the middle of the street all by myself, totally alone. Unbelievable things happen in circumstances like that. There I was, all by myself in the street in front of the entrance to the barracks complex. It goes without saying that at that point I cared absolutely nothing about dying. And all of a sudden I was rescued by another car. I don't know how or why, but a car was coming towards me and it pulled up beside me and picked me up. It was one of the kids from Artemisa driving a car with several compañeros in it, and he drove up to me and rescued me.
Yeah.
I was never able later, there was just no time to ask him about all the details. I've always wished I could talk to that man and find out how and why he jumped back into the hell of that firefight. But as in so many other things, you think you've got 100 years to do it, and the man unfortunately died more than 10 years ago. Apparently, he realized that I'd been left behind, so he came back to find me. He was one of the ones who'd got out, and apparently at some point he realized I hadn't, so he turned back to look for me. I was absolutely alone out there. I had my 22 and that was it, and I didn't know what kind of gunfight might break out or what the end of it all might have been.
Jesus, I did not know that. I missed that in my 5 pages of notes. So that's I mean, fortuitous. Is that the word we can use here? Because that's pretty incredible. Because history could have been very different if that car had not come along.
So he leaves the Moncada Barracks. He leaves Raul's group in the Palace of Justice. He leaves the other group in the hospital because he can't reach them because there are soldiers shooting at him from every direction. In his memoirs, he talks about there was one guy on a roof with a massive turret machine gun.
Right.
That Castro saw. And every time the guy tried to get to the gun, Castro would fire at him. The guy would duck. And then the guy would come back and Castro would fire him. And again, he would duck.
Like a game.
But they were overwhelmingly overpowered.
Yeah.
And his plan then was to go to the Bayamo barracks and assist the guys there. But he was in the last car, and the cars in front of him just split and turned in different directions.
Right.
That was probably the plan if they got out, to split up.
All right.
He realized that going to the Bayamo barracks by himself in one car was a suicide mission under the circumstances.
Yeah.
So they all went back to the farm to regroup. Those that managed to get out,
right?
That is, that weren't dead or captured or left behind, went back to the farm, and that was it. Raul's group in the Palace of Justice, when they figured out that things had gone awry, they managed to get out. He escaped into the countryside, but was eventually captured.
Yeah.
The troops who took the hospital stayed there believing that the rest of Fidel's crew were probably dead, and they were protected by the people in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Haiti Santa Maria, who I said was one of the 2 women there, she was in the hospital. In her memoirs, this is what she said. At one point, I went over to one of them, this is the other people in the hospital, and asked her why she was helping us.
Right.
Because you were good people, she answered.
Oh.
And how do you know we're good? Because you're against Batista. And how do you know we're against Batista? Because you're good, she said. And I couldn't budge her from that. And this impressed me greatly. It told me that it was worthwhile to make all kinds of sacrifices. Because how could a woman who was a student nurse, distinguish the good from the bad unless she'd been told? And I felt proud thinking, they haven't confused us with the bad ones, even though we came disguised as the bad ones.
Right. I had read that the ones in the hospital were pretending to be patients to try to, hide. But there was an official there, a Batista official there, who was obviously at the hospital for some reason, and he pointed them out as soon as the guards came in and they get caught. Sadly, and I'll end with this, Dr. Munoz, the ham operator enthusiast, was shot in the back. And I think he was the first one to die. But the point is, the army is coming in now that they've chased away the majority of of Castro's men. They're walking around, they're looking for them, and they're coming out shooting. So the army wants revenge.
Yeah, and Haiti Santa Maria was arrested along with the rest in the hospital, taken to prison, and later she heard both her brother Abel, one of the commanders, Abel Santa Maria, and her fiance Boris get tortured to death by Batista's men while they're in the prison.
Jesus Christ, yeah. Officially, the army lost 19 dead and 27 wounded in the attack. The rebels lost 6 dead and 15 wounded in the attack. But as you said, I think by midday or something the next day, all 22 rebels that were in the hospital were killed after they were tortured. So again, the army is embarrassed. They're angry. They were scared. They were tricked, and now they're just going to get payback as much as possible.
I think that's where we'll leave this episode. The Moncada Barracks attack failed. What happens next? We'll cover next time on the Cold War.